Our second speaker is Professor Jochen Wirtz, the National University of Singapore, also an International Fellow of Service Research at Karlstad University in Sweden, and an academic scholar at the Cornell Institute for Healthy Futures. He was the founding director of the dual degree UCLA and US Executive MBA program. He's an associate fellow at the Said Business School at the University of Oxford. Professor Wirtz holds a PhD in services marketing from the London Business School, and his research is focused on services marketing. He's published over 100 academic articles, 130 conference presentations, and some 40 book chapters. The list of accolades is very long. Among them is the Christopher Lovelock Career Contributions to the Services Discipline Award in 2019 from the AMA. Most recently, he's published Corporate Digital Responsibility in the Journal of Services Research. Please join me in welcoming Jochen Wirtz.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for the introduction. And corporate digital responsibility is also what I want to talk about. I've been working the last few years on what I call the service revolution. I mean, we had the, let me see that works here. We had the agriculture industrial revolution, and I think we look back 50 years from now, we will see that, wow, you know, in the 2020s, that's really when the service revolution gathered pace, and why everything is coming together here. And I could talk for hours on this, but you just think ChatGPT-4 and you combine this with digital people and all the scalable technology we have today, you can see the picture. But what with every revolution, there are also heart-wrenching changes here and downsides that have to be mitigated. And here it is really ethics, privacy, and fairness issues related to digital services. Now, why is this so important here? You can see we are talking about AI, service robots, and some people already talk about the feeling economy. That means we as people, as humans, are pushed into feelings. All the thinking, all the cognitive part is done by robots and AI. Many times you don't have options to choose out from these services. So there are real challenges here. Digital platforms have complete visibility, not only of you as a consumer, but of the total market, of all the players on a platform. So there are massive issues. And the paper I found particularly interesting was entitled Machine Behavior. This was by Ramawan and colleagues, published in Nature. And I mean, we study consumer behavior, and they showed that in future we may study machine behavior. And they sort of showed that even very simple algorithms, if they interact with each other, they interact with an environment, they interact with customers, that their behavior becomes very, very unpredictable. Now, why is corporate digital responsibility so important for us? Is simply because services touch us in very sensitive areas. That's education, that's healthcare, that's finance, that's communications, transportation. So services are everywhere, right? Now, what are the sort of issues in CDR? I mean, there's a massive literature in every single one of these buckets here, but you can really sort of put them in these three key categories. The first is ethics. There are micro issues like you're being coerced to disclose data, to accept privacy policies, simply because if you don't, you can't use the service. But then there are also macro issues like dehumanization, threats to human dignity, think elderly care, think education, social deprivation, disempowerment, you name it here. This technology is also malleable, meaning, I mean, the algorithms were never designed to spread fake news. They were designed to create engagement, but we all see what happened. And the other thing is here, we are being nudged, predicted, manipulated without us being aware of it and without any oversight. So massive ethical issues. I mean, fairness, I think we've seen some major fairness sort of failures here where ladies got lower credit lines than men, everything being the same. And if you look at the literature, there is agreement that there is no bias-free algorithm or AI decision. So that's a big issue. And of course, privacy. a colleague of mine analyzed the eBay privacy policy, and if you put anything on eBay, you agree to your data to be shared with 900 over partners of eBay. And the privacy policies you would have to read is like 2 million words, takes you a week and a lawyer. So I mean, I think you can see the issues here. Now, look, I mean, every good company you would think wants to do good, doesn't want to have bad CDR. But why are they motivated then still to do bad CDR? And then the key reason is, I mean, it's financials, right? And you can see we sort of proposed the CDR calculus from a company point of view. So what is the benefit of good CDR? And you can see it's a bit of risk mitigation. It's a bit of warm glow, if you will. But then you look at the money left on the table. If you don't use the data, don't use the insights, don't use the capabilities, you lose a lot of incremental values. You reduce the customer experience. There are untranslated cost savings in the supply chain and so on, and the cost of implementing robust CDR. So, I mean, my co-authors and I concluded that actually most good CDR is probably not profitable. And there was a nice paper by Thiele and Schultz that looked at if you do serious ESG and don't do greenwashing, so you do it seriously, it's also not profitable. Yeah, so you can see the challenges we have. Now, let me share a few sort of research ideas or avenues we could go to. I mean, number one, we have conflicting goals. There are organization trade-offs, the CDR calculus. And the literature in management that looks at this is the ambidexterity literature. So we have leadership, structural, contextual ambidexterity on how to integrate these conflicting goals. I mean, that's one probably interesting area for research. The other is to dig a bit deeper on the positive side, the benefits of good CDRs. What's the warm glow worth? Brand equity, loyalty, reputation in customer markets, labor markets, supplier markets, and so on. Now, how can you govern an ecosystem? And I haven't really introduced the big picture here, but the data and insights that are being used at the customer interface, they're being used for multiple purposes in a big ecosystem, including insights being sold and so on. So how do you govern this? How do you audit it? Then is technology, can we use technology to actually help us to mitigate CDR risks? I mean, blockchain, you can use technology to already identify deep fakes and other things. So what are the opportunities here? And then finally, look at the trade-offs here. What are the costs and benefits of good versus poor versus machine-washed CDR? Yeah, so these are some of the ideas we have here, and this is a big issue that will hit us. This cuts way across what we do in CB, which is mostly usually focused on privacy research. Now, if you're interested, we have we've done a lot of work on robotics and AI and service, and sort of CDR is the latest. So if you're interested here, you can download this from these papers from ResearchGate, including our book on intelligent automation. So this was a very quick introduction. So I hand back to Bob.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.